Episode 38 of Bleach TYBW Cour 3 has now been released, and this is an episode that I've been looking forward to ever since it had been hinted at in the opening to Cour 3, as well as a preview trailer for this episode that released earlier this week, with the episode focusing on Bazz B and Haschwalth's past friendship and their history together, as well as the epic Bazz B vs Haschwalth fight. So let's dive into episode 38 of Bleach TYBW Cour 3, Friend. Right away, the episode begins with Bazz B and Haschwalth's first meeting in their childhood. Jugram lacks the skills needed for hunting and is trying yet failing to kill a rabbit that he needs to bring home for dinner, until a reishi bolt flies past him and into the rabbit, killing it instantly. Jugram turns around behind him to see a young Bazz B, who asks Jugram for his name. Right away, we see these two start to bond. In the present, we pick up from where episode 36 ended, with Bazz B finally confronting his childhood friend. During this brief scene, I like how Jugram chose to use the hilt of his sword, rather than the blade, to attack Bazz, indicating he wants to avoid hurting his friend, the very same one who's now trying to kill him using his burner finger attack. Jugram comments on the wounds Bazz B received after surviving the Auschweilen, stating that he was not one chosen, to which Bazz B purposely calls Jugram by the name Hugo, the same name he used when they were kids, to remind Haschwalth of his status. As a child, Haschwalth looked very weak and sickly, indicated by the bruises on his body from the beatings he had received from his uncle, and lacked the reishi to create a bow for hunting. As a token of friendship, Bazz B tosses Haschwalth the rabbit after noticing the bruises on his body, stating that from here on, Haschwalth is his underling, throwing him one of the buttons on his cape to show this. In Yhwach, Jugram tells Bazz B to take the battle outside so as to not damage the castle, prompting Bazz B to remember when his clan was brutally attacked by the forces of Yhwach and his Quincy army. Being only a child, Bazz could only watch as his people were gunned down in cold blood in front of him, and even saw his mother get her head blown off by a bullet from one of Yhwach's soldiers. The young Bazz could only watch in horror as Yhwach used the power of his almighty to cut down his clan. In the aftermath of this destruction, Bazz B and Haschwalth make a promise that together they will train frantically in order to kill Yhwach for what he did to them. We also get a scene with Yhwach talking to one of his commander's Zidlets about his future plans to conquest. The commander states to Yhwach that there is nowhere left to conquer in the northern lands, to which Yhwach responds by choosing his next invasion target, which is of course the first Quincy invasion of the Soul Society 1,000 years ago, which ended in Yhwach dying and being sealed for 900 years, as well as the slaughter of countless Quincy's and army leaders at the hands of head captain Yamamoto Genryusai and his Soul Reaper army. This event is also what caused the Quincy's to go into hiding for 1,000 years until the king was ready to return. Yhwach states he will need a new unit to lead his assault on the Soul Society, designating this new fighting force the Sternritter. Meanwhile, Bazz B and Haschwalth are training as much as they can in preparation for their plans to kill Yhwach when the opportunity of a lifetime falls into their lap, the chance to join the Sternritter. Hubert, another of Yhwach's commanders, enters the village that Bazz B and Haschwalth are living in, announcing that those Quincy's with noble ambitions will be called to join the Sternritter and fight for his majesty in his conquest of the Soul Society. Against Jugram's wishes, Bazz B eagerly calls to Hubert and says he wishes to join, only to be insulted by the Quincy commander. As Hubert turns around to leave, Bazz B fires an arrow near Hubert's horse and challenges him to a fight. But before the two clash, they are sent to the ground by a powerful Ryatsu. Bazz B looks around to see whose Ryatsu is powerful enough to hold the entire village down, but gets his answer when Yhwach arrives. The Quincy king states he has come to his village to pick up something very vital to him, his other half, who's none other than Haschwalth, who has the power to share abilities much like the Quincy king himself. Bazz B has a look of hatred on his face as he watches Yhwach take the boy he thought was too weak to even swing a sword and promote him to his right-hand man. Of course, Haschwalth cannot make something as pitiful as a bow, as he can make power be shared with others. Not a single Quincy born in the last 200 years has this ability except Haschwalth, and that's what makes him so special. Yhwach tells Bazz B, in the time he spent with Jugram, he surely must have felt his power increasing, which wasn't a result of his own talent, but Jugram's power, the power to convert a fool into a genius. Enraged by this, Bazz B draws his bow and fires a shot at Yhwach, which is caught mid-air by Haschwalth. I love this shot of Haschwalth catching the arrow, as it perfectly transitions to the final moments of Bazz B vs Haschwalth in present day. Battered and bleeding, Bazz B stubbornly charges Burner Finger 4 and launches it toward Jugram. In the history, Bazz has challenged Haschwalth to a fight many times, and every single time Haschwalth refused to fight his friend. In the 3 years since Jugram left to serve Yhwach, Bazz B trained his arse off to get into the Stoneretters, and once he finally made it, Jugram never once accepted his offer to fight until their last moments together. Jugram cuts off Bazz B's arm and then deals the final blow. A husk that was once his best friend walks towards Haschwalth as the final words reek of sadness as life fades away from his corpse. This episode was so well done. From the flashbacks of Bazz B and Haschwalth's friendship, cut between the present day of them fighting, it is truly cinema. This is now my new favourite episode of Cour 3, and I can't wait for the last 2 episodes of this cour next week.